So just to give you a little bit of background, I deployed a couple of years ago, and while I was gone, I was worried that my son wasn't going to remember me when I got back. So I ordered this life-size cardboard cutout of myself to send to my family while I was gone. So the flat me did all kinds of stuff. It went to Christmas, it went to Thanksgiving, it went on vacation with my family while I was gone. My son high fived it every morning and gave it hugs and called it Flat Daddy. It was a really cool asset while I was gone. But I came back and I didn't really need a flat version of me when I have the real me in my house. So I think, what am I going to do with this life size cardboard cutout of myself? So my school has this unwritten policy, well, it's kind of written, that we can have fun while we're in the educational environment, right? As long as you're not doing something that disrupts the educational, flow, then it's really all right. So that's how they always treat their senior pranks. So I decided that I was going to model that policy for my students by pranking my building principal by hiding it in his office before he came in. And I wasn't there, but his secretary said that he jumped like he was shot whenever he saw this gigantic cardboard cutout with the arms crossed in his office in the dark. And he says, that was pretty funny. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to prank the other building vice principals. And they pranked the superintendent, and I think that it made its way over to the local ROE as well. After that, it appeared in like random hallways and mirrors. It overwatched the quad in Mount Vernon for a while. So I became notorious. Sometimes people will walk up to my room and say, "Hey, that was a really creepy cardboard cutout of you that I saw during lunch." I'm like, "Well, thanks. I appreciate it." So I was there for a long time, and I spent the last little bit of my tenure there in freshman academy. And I was in the window watching the hallway in freshman academy whenever students walked by. So like that whole hallway saw me all the time. I think that it was about 3:38 p.m. and my contract time was 3:40 p.m. and I knew that if I waited until 3:39 p.m. I could start walking toward the door and make it about 3:39 and 30 seconds, which rounds to 3:40, and I could go home. But before I could get to my doorknob, I heard my phone ring at my desk. So I was like, oh man, the good teacher in me wanted to go back and answer that phone. It was our new administrator, whose name was Ryan. He says, "I'm afraid you've been stolen." What? He says, "Your cardboard cutout was stolen. Could you look at the footage with me and see if you know any of these kids?" So I went up to the academy, still processing what was happening. I was thinking, should I be mad or like, is this a prank? I really don't know. So he showed me the footage from the security camera, and I saw like four of like the students I have like the best rapport with walking through the hallway. They were a notorious bunch, but they weren't notorious like gangsters or bullies. Instead, they were the kind of students that would cause some hilarity and a little bit of a just friendly mischief on a near daily basis. And I guess this was part of their senior prank. They were mischievous, but honestly, those kids were my reason for showing up a lot of days. So whenever they walked the hallway in the security footage, it was almost like they were trying to walk as suspiciously as possible. They waited too long to even do anything. They were constantly like looking over their shoulders. One of them was trying to conceal his identity by wearing like a bright purple boonie hat. I recognized all of them immediately. The guy with the purple hat must have drawn the short straw because he entered freshman academy first to try and pull it off while everyone else was standing around in the hallway. Speaking of the hallway, there was nobody else there. They waited way too long to do anything. They were the only students in the hallway, so naturally they draw suspicion. So the one with the purple hat walks in, gets spooked because there are teachers still working during their contract time, and he walks back out. And then Damien, the tall one, wasn't afraid. He marched right in, picked up my cardboard self, and nonchalantly walked toward the exit. A few teachers asked what they were doing, and they're like, "Oh, this is part of a senior prank." And then the teacher's like, "I can respect that. Just make sure that you bring it back." And they went out the door with me, the flat version of myself. So they walked out of the store, and or drove me away in their car. I saw had some rumors that I was attending bonfires and student social gatherings. I went to like the dam at some point. There was a ransom note that went around. The ransom note had a lot of demands on what the students were. Allegedly, I was even trending on Snapchat locally for a little while. I probably would have been trending for longer, but a couple weeks after that, one of the students ended up wrecking his car, totaling it. Now, the student's okay, but the car is impounded, so now the flat version of myself is sitting up at a junkyard looking up at the night sky through a cracked back windshield. Now, we're a school that's all about having some fun, but they did steal personal property, so there was consequences for that. But I think that it's overwhelmingly an example of how positive a school culture Mount Vernon has. I got a photo from some students on like my last day at work there, and they showed me like one of the photos that they had where they took me to the spillway, and that's attached.